Oh, David, there you are. I'm doing fine. How about you?
Pretty good. Just adjusting to the new normal for now. Looks like
Hi,
you're in
Dave.
Hawaii.
Boy, is it ever the new normal. So how have you been doing, Dave? Have you been keeping busy during this isolation?
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of Zoom interviews like this, and we've been. It's actually kind of opened some doors to be able to get access to some people that we normally wouldn't have.
Oh, yeah.
So that's been kind of cool. But I do miss the camaraderie and seeing people in person. And
Yeah.
we didn't get to do a show last month, so this is really exciting.
This is great. Well,
It's
we're ready
great.
if you are. You want to give us an audio check?
You guys sound good to me, Judy.
Good. Hello.
Mic check. There we go. All right.
Okay.
And we'll start in 10 seconds.
Welcome to the Right Now Show. I'm Judy Saxon.
And I'm Charlie Redner. And this is the show where we put the emphasis on writers, writing, and the arts. Hi, Judy.
Hi, Charlie.
I'm wearing a mask. You see that?
Yes, and I applaud you for that. That's what we all need to do.
That's right. So I'm not in the studio, but I'll take it off. I'm at home alone here doing this telecast with you, and I'm happy to be here and to start a new season. You know, this is like starting all over from scratch.
It's a new world, Charlie. It's a new world.
Yeah, it is.
Well, now
how you doing?
Well, I'm just doing fine, and I had great plans. I thought, all right, so I'm going to be home a lot. So now I'll do my editing on my novel, and I'll finish my script, and I'll tackle my garage. And I've been doing things like buying bags of potato chips at the market and making them and sitting on my patio munching happily, doing really important things like sewing missing buttons on clothes. Haven't touched the novel, haven't touched the script, haven't tackled the garage, but the days just melt away. Have you noticed?
Yeah, they do. They just keep going like crazy, don't they?
Well, now tell me what you've been doing.
I'm doing a lot of writing. I finished the last book I was writing was Jungle Boy, which is now finished. It's got a new title called Raised on the Run, because I've already published a book called Jungle Boy. And I'm doing a one-person, I hope you can see this on the screen, I'm doing a one-person show for one woman. I've got this thing called Irish Fever, and I'm going to put on a presentation. You know, the spoken word is down like every other club, so
right.
I'm going to stay in practice by presenting a one-person show.
Oh, how nice. And it'll be a treat for her to hear that. And we also have a treat today. We're going to be talking to Jack Crawbuck.
Who's he?
Well, he's a videographer, and he is, we're so lucky to have him. He's the assistant manager at the video studio.
Okay.
And he's a real pro. Let me tell you about him. He's from Leona, New Jersey. He graduated from Farley Dickinson University in communications with a concentration in broadcasting and film production.
Holy smokes.
His first job was with the National Video Recording Studios in New York. He worked on many shows, including the Dick Cavett Show, which is one of my all-time favorite shows.
We'll talk about that.
Night Flight, Commander USA, Groovy Movies. I mean, this is just part of his bio. Welcome, Jack.
Hey, Jack, where are you?
I'm right here. I'm at CNN in Atlanta right now. Hey, you guys, I'm doing a show. Keep it down. Well, look, they're too noisy. So I'm going to go to I'm going to teleport myself over to another place, my summer place in Forest. Let's see if I can find it. Why, there I am. I'm in Poipu, Hawaii.
I've been there.
Since I'm in Hawaii, I'm going to take off my mask.
Yeah, that's good. You're safe.
And look, And look what I grew. This is
Oh
the lockdown mustache, which
my.
I had to do something, but actually I just subtracted, or in we say in video, edited this out. So it just
Chin
kinda
off,
came
yeah.
out.
So you look like a
Yeah.
new guy. I wouldn't
A
recognize.
new guy. Yeah, well, I think my mugshots probably look better than this, but I'm in Hawaii, so I'm going to put some sunglasses on. You see, I actually prepared for all this, and I'm getting laid right now. You see this? And after you get laid, you have a drink. Aha, I don't know if this shows up. This is my pineapple drink, but yeah, so I'm having a Mai Tai. Hopefully my sponsor doesn't see it. No,
He's not want to
anyway,
talk about work today, is he,
no,
Judy?
no, I'm ready to party. Why not? Well, I'll take it. Now I'll keep the sunglasses on. Anyway, what's up? How are you guys doing with the lockdown and everything?
Doing well.
Days just go by, don't they? I mean,
Yeah, very surreal. It's like I say, it just seems like you wake up, it's another day, and you go out. But things are starting to open up a little bit, and I just wanted to say, I practice safe Zooming with the mask. But another thing is, I want to really emphasize wear a mask when you go out. I did a shoot the other day down at Alyssa Creek. A lot of people were pulling their mask off, and I was like, I'm getting a little, So I don't want to be that pedantic guy saying, now wear your mask, but, just do it for other people.
Sure. Absolutely. I agree with you.
Yeah, important message. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this guy from New Jersey. I understand you live near Fort Lee, where they closed down the George Washington Bridge and had Bridgegate. Is that where you're from?
That's right. You can thank Chris Christie for that. I wasn't there for that. I originally came from Leonia, New Jersey, right over the George Washington Bridge. And who's from there but Alan Alda, Anthony Bourdain, which is a family friend. What
Frank
else?
Sinatra, Bruce Springsteen's nearby. Come on.
Yeah, New
all the
Jersey's
celebrities.
filled with them. They're filled with all these. Yeah, it's true. We had a lot of Buddy Hackett lived in town and whatever else. So, but it was kind of fun growing up there. My dad worked in the Museum of Natural History in Manhattan. My mom went to Barnard, which was over in New York also. But I also started working in television in New York City on 42nd Street, pre-Giuliani. So it was a little dicey when I worked there, but I love growing up there. It was a great city. Yeah.
I understand that you knew at 6 years old what you wanted to do for a living. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I was watching Soupy Sales or something, and or maybe the Little Rascals, and they said, "What do you want to do for a living?" And I went, "I want to do that." And he said, "What? Make TVs?" I said, "No, make what's in the TV." And so I don't know. I just couldn't figure it out. So I eventually got into studying TV.
And I know that you hitchhiked to Idaho, and you were
Utah.
Utah. Sorry,
Yeah.
And you were an instructor on a houseboat. I didn't know they had instructors on houseboats.
Yeah, they had to teach people how to run them, or they run into the bluffs at Lake Powell. So it was fun. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. Really great. It was a summer. I left home at 19. Hitchhike. Back then, you could hitchhike, and ended up at Lake Powell. It was a great experience. And,
did they take the boats out, or did they just hang on the docks like they were renting them like a cabin or something?
No, they took them out, and that was part of my job, was to drive them out to the channel and to teach them how to use it. The propane, the bathrooms, whatever it was.
Because I had a
cool
camper once, and I wish I had somebody to teach me how to run everything. It had so many modern conveniences. It was incredible.
Well, these houseboats were 40 feet long. It was like having a trailer. I mean, like an RV on water. And it was great. These canyons are absolutely gorgeous, just spectacular cliffs and everything. And it's really cool. It was a great way to leave home. But I had to come home.
You got smart and went back home and went to college, right?
Well, no, I broke my collarbone at Alta, but that's another story. I ran out of money.
Yeah, you worked at a ski resort, right? And broke your collarbone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for the second time. I was a very adventurous child. Yeah, the first time I broke it, I jumped out of a high chair when I was 18 months.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I've been in the hospital a few times, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So did you teach skiing, or what did you do? Were you
I was a ski bum for about a week, and then I broke the bone.
And broke the bone.
Back to Metro New York, So.
Yeah. Well, and then what next? Then you finished school, and then you got that job at that wonderful studio. That was quite a coup.
Oh, National was the place in the 80s. I started there in about 84, and they just wrapped up the movie Tootsie. And it was really spectacular to go in there and say, wow, this is where, you know, this film was shot. But we did a lot of shows there. One of my favorites was Night Flight, which is, you can still see it on, I think it's on, I don't know, it's on the internet somewhere. But it was a great show because it had a lot of rock videos, a lot of great interviews, shorts, and it was my favorite show. And then I ended up working. I'm sorry?
What was your job specifically at the studio?
I was assistant editor at this point. And also I worked on the shoots. We did interviews with a lot of rock stars like Keith Richards. And I got to do all those shoots. And so it was like, wow, this is my favorite show. I'm working on it. So, you know.
You did music videos with ABBA and people like that?
No, they were on the show. Frank Zappa was on the show. A laundry list of people. John Waters, who is one of my favorite authors, was on it too. It was kind of a mishmash of like these sci-fi movies they put on with music videos. It was a great show, really kind of a quirky show, and it's pre-MTV, so it was kind of ahead of the curve.
Oh, they were ahead of MTV.
Tell me about your memories of working on the Dick Cavett show, since I'm such a fan of that.
Well, now this is kind of a risque story, but the first time I ever met Dick Cavett, I was standing at a urinal and he came up next to me and I said, "Hi, Dick." And I you know, it was kind of a weird thing, but but it was, you know, no, it was his birthday and I said, "Happy birthday." And I was just a peripheral guy. I worked on some of the shoots, but it was for PBS.
For PBS.
Yeah. And we were a non-union shop, and I remember that we had picketers outside because the musicians on the show were part of the union, and it was, you know, kind of crazy back then, but it was fun. He's a very nice guy, from what I remember. Yeah, I met him a few times, so yeah.
You were around for the Nixon debate with Dick Cavett. That's world famous.
No, I remember seeing it. I remember he had a lot of people on his was it ABC? He had Lester Maddox on. He had all these, like, you know, controversial people, and it was a great show. I always loved it back. But then when he went to PBS, he kind of toned it down a bit, I think. You know.
Oh, really?
But yeah, he was a very nice guy from what I remember. But I also worked on the Dr. Ruth Westheimer show, Good Sex with Dr. Ruth.
Yes.
Yeah, she's about 4'4". You know, she's a very, very sweet lady. I worked on that show. That was a live show that went out on Lifetime.
Did you have this? Yeah. Did you have the 7-second delay with that or whatever?
Yes, we did. Yeah. We had people that would slip up and use the F word, you know. and we had a lot of great guests on that show. Cyndi Lauper, who I met probably about 2 years before that. And she became famous in that period of time. And I saw her on the show. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But that was a fun show. It was live, so everyone held their breath when it was up on the air.
Then you did some of these political things with
Roger. Oh, God. Yeah, Roger Ailes. Ailes Communications came in. They took over the place in 1986. When I say take over, they were our main client. I worked on 26 campaigns, all throughout, you know, the United States. And one of the guys was Dan Quayle's campaign for Indiana. So I worked on his.
That was a senator campaign?
Yes, it was senatorial. Yeah. And I worked with Marilyn Quayle, and I got to know her pretty well. And she really was, she was great to work with. And Ailes was interesting too. This is pre-Fox News, of course.
Right.
And I want to also put a disclaimer in here. I'm not a conservative Republican, just let you know. Nothing the matter with it, but I, you know.
Oh, you didn't have to give a disclaimer. I worked with both parties back in those days. I was a PR consultant for both the Democrats and the Republicans. And there were some really great Republicans. I swear, I met some really super.
Oh, same here. People. Same here. I met Governor Duke Majan, one of the few people.
Oh, yeah.
We helped get him in. And he was a really nice guy too. He came in.
Seemed like it.
I worked with Jamie Humes. He was a White House ghost for 5 presidents, going back to Nixon, actually. And he was just a super intelligent, bright, wonderful human being. And we just had a lot in common. We chatted all the time. So there's some nice people on the other side.
Yeah, go on.
No. I also work with on the Democratic side, and we'd have to black out the monitors with what Ailes was doing, and then we had Democrats working there too. So they're very secretive. And I work with a guy named Joe Slade White. He did a lot of Democratic stuff. So I kind of went back and forth, and
Yeah,
so we
me
had to
too.
be very careful,
Yep.
And it was very intense working with the Ailes campaign in 86. 100-hour weeks. I mean, it was just, I never worked that long and hard. And it was just like you go home and come back again. And it's like nothing happened until November 3rd. And then it was like this pause. It was like the war ended, and it's like this big, But it was very interesting.
It must be exhausting. Those, I don't know how they do it. And do they even, they must skip meals and they must be exhausted and tired. And then they have to go out the next day.
Yes.
Travel.
Oh, a lot of travel. Back then, people went out on shoots out to, let's say, South Dakota. They come back with the tapes. We had to turn it around really fast and then make 2-inch dubs. This is all tape days. And then they had to be shipped out back to, Sioux Falls or someplace, and it was like, and it was like that every day. And we do 4 commercials, negative and positive commercials. And I mean, I was younger then. I could handle the 100-hour weeks, but a lot of overtime. That was a good thing.
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, right.
So,
But some of the candidates are not that young, and for them to keep up that pace,
it's exhausting. I don't know how they can do it. Really, it's amazing.
So, what was your favorite part of that whole job? That was probably your highlight job, your career. What was the best part of that?
Well, I wouldn't say it's my highlight. I think my jobs changed over over a period of time. But at that job, I would say working on Night Flight because I really loved the rock music, and I ended up shooting and directing a lot of music stuff later on here in San Diego.
Studio, before you actually got in the door, didn't you have to be somebody?
Where to shoot in New York or
Studio 54?
Oh, Studio 54. Yes, that was something else. That was a story. I had actually, it dovetails very nicely with the broken collarbone in Utah. I'd come back. I had to come back from Utah, and I came back to New York, and it was a cold December day, and we decided to go to Studio 54. They just had been busted for cocaine and what was the other thing for tax evasion, and so there's this big crowd there. So I went there with a couple of friends, and I had a collarbone brace. It was like this figure-8 brace, and it was really cold out. So I said, "Hey, let's see if we can get in. Let me do something crazy." Because Steve Rubel, who's the guy who was who owned the club, would come out and pick people like you, no, not you, So I took my shirt off, and it was like 11 degrees, and I have this collarbone brace on. And he goes, you look pretty crazy. Come on in. I went, oh my God, I've been picked, And it was just insane. It really, the lighting, the lights that came down, the roller skating granny, it was all there. Yeah. It was
roller skating granny. What was that?
This woman who must have been in her 70s or 80s, and she'd roller skate around, and she had like a little wand that she'd tap on people. It's pretty insane. It was very decadent. I think that's a good word.
Yes, yes. Well, you hear tales, right? Yes, yes.
Oh yeah, it was pretty interesting. But I actually, back in those days, I hit a lot of the clubs like CBGB's, Max's, the Mud Club, go to the Ritz. But I was really into that scene when I got back from Utah. So yeah.
So then you got Sanity and came out west. Is that when that happened?
Yeah, I had already been out to California, I guess in the late 70s, early 80s. And I said, this is where I really want to end up because I was tired of commuting into New York City after a while.
It has to be a grind. Oh, God.
Oh, man, it is. And I finally had worked at National, which it really had a great reputation. So I had that on the resume. And,
well, didn't you work for a lot of the agencies and do car commercials for Nissan?
Yes. Yeah,
we did my clients too. Chiat Day and
Chiat Day,
and all those agencies.
Oh yeah, that was another one. That was another one of them. We did a lot of car commercials. That's what I remember back then. Buick was a big car thing that we did too.
Now, would you shoot those commercials in the suburbs? Because where I used to live up in the Los Angeles area, they would do car commercials, and I lived in a residential community.
Right.
So where did you shoot a lot of those?
Well, I didn't work on the production of those. I worked on the post-production.
Oh, okay.
So they come in and we'd knock out 30-second, 60-second spots.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
usually, but they would shoot back on the East Coast along the Palisades on the Jersey side,
Right.
where it's beautiful roads, and they send cars out
Hey,
there.
Jack,
Yeah.
I worked with Subaru for years. Those guys wanted to shoot and film. I mean, they were
Well,
radical.
that's what it was back then. I mean, it didn't turn over to tape or digital video or anything else until probably just really maybe 15 years ago. So,
Yeah.
and people still shoot and film 35.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's 35 millimeter to go out. You're shooting a car commercial. They're going to go first class.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So we got you out in California now. So what happened out here?
Well, I ended up going to a place on the west side. It was called American Video Factory, and I really was very lucky because I loved the place. It was a lot smaller than National. National had like 4 or 5 stages, control rooms, everything else. This had one big studio, but it's the first post-production and production facility on the west side of Los Angeles.
Okay.
So it was out of Hollywood. I'd gotten actually a job in Hollywood, a place called Action Video, but American Video Factory it was really a bunch of characters that worked there. And these were very talented editors, very cool, laid back. And it was a great place to work. And we did a lot of music videos there, which was really cool. So I kind of fell into that. I managed the machine room there because we had back then it was all 1-inch tape. So I worked with the edit bays, and we also had telecine, and we had a studio that we did a lot of shows, and not shows, but but a lot of commercials and things of that nature.
You said B movies too. Do you remember any of the titles?
Yes, I do. Slash Dance was the one I worked on.
All right.
Not Flash Dance, but Slash Dance, and it was Matilda the Hun from Glamorous Ladies of Wrestling was in it, and we did. Believe me, I've seen some stuff. We did some pretty. What was the other one? Oh, Lobster Man from Mars was another one, and I think Tony Curtis was in that one, and another one. Elliot Gould was in another one.
Barbara Streisand's ex-husband. Yeah.
Right, and I had an office at that point, and we used it as a dressing room for him. And I remember he came up, and I said, "Oh, Mr. Gould, I'm a big fan, MASH and Bob Carroll and whatever else." And I said, "Well, Mr. Gould, here's my office. You use this as a dressing room." And I remember he went up to me and he shook my hand and goes, "Thank you so much. You're a very, very nice to do this." And I was like, "That's illegal." I'm like, I'm awestruck. And I saw a lot of celebrities there.
Yeah.
And another show or another documentary I worked on, it was called Champions Forever. And I met Muhammad Ali, who was a very big hero to me. And I remember that day I was walking across the parking lot, and a Silver Shadow or Rolls Royce came pulling in, and all these beautiful women get out of it. And then comes Muhammad Ali, and he gets out, and he's this big guy, and I saw him, and I went, "Wow, it's Muhammad." And I walked towards him, and he put up his fist like he wanted to box, and I said, "Oh no, I'm sorry, Muhammad. I just had
I've retired.
I just had lunch. I don't want." And I remember I went up and shook his hand, and his hand is like this massive, big. I mean, it's just massive mitt. And, it was really very awesome to meet him.
I did a biography of a boxer, and every time I wanted to take a picture, he'd put his fist up, and I'm saying, Joey Giardelli, middleweight champ of the world. I said, "Joe, put the fist down."
Really, please.
Did you find a difference with the people you worked with in New York as against the West Coast? Were they more laid back, for instance, in Los Angeles than New York? Or
I think, it's funny. It's pretty high pressure wherever you go. I'd say it's a little bit more laid back on the West Coast. I think that for me, getting to work was part of the pressure just in New York.
Oh, right.
I mean, by the time you get there, you've taken a bus, you've been sitting in a Lincoln Tunnel, you maybe had to take a subway. So by the time you get there, you're already beat up. Los Angeles, you sit in a car, but, you get there and you feel, okay, you're in control of things a little bit better. So I believe it or not, I think that has something to do with it. But But
hey, Jack, may I interrupt Judy?
Sure.
We're going to run out of time pretty soon. I would like to talk about Laguna Woods and the video club.
Sure,
and
please.
What you're doing here.
Yeah.
I mean, you say something about the equipment here, which just average or normal, everyday home stuff,
What you're? Oh, when I found at Video One Studios, I was blown away. I walked in there. I had been doing some staging down in San Diego, and I'd re-hurt my back for the 5th time. I said, I got to get out of this, and I got to get back into TV. So I had moved to Laguna Woods, and I saw the studio, or I saw, the building.
Video Club.
Got in there. Yeah, the Video Club, Video One Productions. And I walked in there, and I looked at the switcher, and I said, this is really something else. It's a TriCaster made by New Tech. And I looked at the camera equipment, and we still had to do some more work on the studio. Jim Rohr and Dr. Tom Nash and I put some time in and hung some lights. And we also put a voiceover booth, which now we're doing the Old Pro Radio Hour.
You're talking to 2 people that have done them both. We've done each of them.
Yes, that's right. So we've upgraded the studio. The equipment there is great. It really is. You can do with the TriCaster, you can do virtual sets. So you can go, you can put, much like I have behind me, except we do it with green screen.
I understand you're doing a drama, though. Just doing that, like we're doing this show this morning. You're out there doing videotaping and then meeting individually, or
is that the soap opera or what?
No, I don't work on that. That's something I think Channel 6 does.
Okay.
Yeah, the shows I've worked on are Welcome to My Home with Susan Salvo, and then Laguna Woods Stories I did with Tom, and the Centenarian Project.
Right. Yes, I was part of it.
Oh, it was great. It was Betsy Armstrong and I did.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just kind of walked into all that, and but now we have Lucy Parker. Oh, she's great. We worked on a kind of a short film with her, What You Two, and this is Lucy's first movie, and I was the director of photography, which I love doing. John Kelly was the director, and I had a blast. It was I haven't done anything like that in a while. But
so you're out on the cameras then, on the locations with the shoots?
Yes, I do that. Another show that we got kind of into, but we, of course, with the pandemic coming down, we had to stop, was Beyond the Gates. And and it's like a Yule Hauser, kind of going out, California's Gold type of show, where we go out on location, go down to Laguna Beach or wherever. And there's so many things here in Orange County to check out. So, and it's something that we shot 2 locations. We shot the Green Thumb and the OC Market.
I love it.
It's great. It was really good.
Hey, Judy, we're going to have to wrap it up, dear heart.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I get.
No, that's okay. We love talking to you, Jack. You're doing great, but we're running out of time. We knew this was going to happen, Judy.
Okay.
I know.
Okay.
Oh,
I know.
It went so fast. I can't.
I know. I'm just getting warmed up. But
we'll have you back. We have to have a lot of people back here.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Jack. Well,
you are welcome, and thank you so much. It's a pleasure working with you. And one more thing, wear a mask when you go out. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. That's my PSA for the day. But thank you so much. And
thank you. Okay. You've been fun and interesting. Thank you.
Last word, Judy.
Well, I have a few. I have one quote I liked. This is by Stephen from Stephen King. Books are a uniquely portable magic. And they are, and we have more time to read now, so we can carry around this portable magic.
I have courage is not having the strength to go on. It's going on when you don't have the strength. Teddy Roosevelt. But we got to say goodbye, Judy.
Well, I'm Judy Saxon. Thanks so much for watching.
I'm Charlie Redner. See you next time, and I hope the Spoken Word Club can open up soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.